When I enhanced the audio, dozens of layered whispers were speaking my name. I convinced myself it was nothing, but the next night came a rhythmic tapping. 4 beats, pause, 4 beats. I recorded it, but when I played it back, the tapping was gone.
You are listening to the Fearcast. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
I moved to Greenwood last week, a quiet town with an old half-abandoned underground train station. The main lines are still active, but the lower tunnels were sealed off decades ago after a collapse that no one seems to like talking about. The locals just call it the Echoes. I thought they were just stories. My apartment, not far from the station, was supposed to be perfect for my freelance sound engineering projects. The silence here is deep, almost unnatural. At first, I noticed faint reverberations in the walls at night, low hums that didn't match any external noise. I brushed it off until it started interfering with my work. The static in my recordings wasn't random. When I enhanced the audio, dozens of layered whispers were speaking my name. I convinced myself it was nothing, but the next night, I found the rusted, chained entrance to the abandoned station wide open. From within the tunnel came a rhythmic tapping. 4 beats, pause, 4 beats. I recorded it, but when I played it back, the tapping was gone. Only the whispers remained, louder than before. The sounds haunted me. Each night, the tapping returned through my walls, through the air vents, growing louder around 3:03 a.m. The scratching began, like fingernails dragging just beyond the drywall. I would hear clear whispers behind me, calling me back, and sometimes, reflected in the dark screen of my TV, I saw a faint, distorted figure, tall, slightly crooked, swaying as if listening. I ignored the warnings and returned to the abandoned tunnels. The deeper I went, the more the sounds twisted, following me, moving just out of reach. I found a room with broken machinery and a reel-to-reel recorder that was somehow still running. When I stopped the tape, the whispering burst out, all at once, chanting my name, beckoning me closer. I felt something cold trace my neck. I ran, but the tunnel shifted around me, warping like a maze. I stumbled upon a wall, plastered with yellowed newspaper clippings, each one with the headline, "Neil Carter, found dead in Greenwood tunnels." All with today's date. Panic gripped me. I stumbled backward as a soft voice whispered in my ear, "You were always meant to come back." The figure stepped out from the shadows. It looked like me, but stretched and distorted, as if trapped inside a broken mirror. It smiled and whispered, "You always belonged to us." My flashlight flickered as the figure lunged, and then nothing. I woke up on my apartment floor, morning sunlight streaming through the windows. Everything looked normal, but the walls still pulsed faintly, with the same 4-beat rhythm. I checked my phone and found a recording I didn't remember making. It played the tunnel's tapping, and underneath it, my own voice whispering, "Neil, come back." I tried to leave Greenwood that day, but no matter where I went, every road led me back to the station. I called my brother. His voice trembled as he asked if this was some kind of joke. "Neil, we buried you 5 years ago. You died in those tunnels." I dropped the phone. It's now 3:03 a.m. I'm sitting in my apartment. If this is even my apartment. The walls pulse with the rhythm. The whispers are louder now, surrounding me. The reflection in the dark window smiles back at me, but it doesn't move when I do. I think I was always part of the echoes. I think I never left. And if you're hearing this story, maybe you can hear them too. Maybe they're calling your name next. I thought it was over. I thought I had escaped the tunnels. But as I sat there in the apartment, breathing heavily, trying to make sense of it, I noticed something worse. The reflection in the window began to move on its own. Slowly, its head tilted to one side, in that same unnatural way. It raised its hand, pressing its palm against the glass from its side, though mine remained still. It dragged its palm down the window, leaving a faint, greasy outline as it did. My stomach dropped. It wasn't mimicking me anymore. It was watching me. And then it whispered through the glass, clear and soft. There's more beneath. You've only just begun. Against all logic, against the pounding in my chest telling me to run, I had to go back. Something inside me pulled me to the tunnels like gravity. My hands moved without me. My legs carried me back to that entrance without resistance. I told myself I was going for answers, but deep down, I knew I didn't have a choice. I passed the chained gate, it was open again, and descended into the tunnels, flashlight trembling in my grip. The air was different this time, thicker, humid, smelling faintly of iron and damp stone. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, like the sound bounced off surfaces that didn't exist. I started hearing faint train whistles in the distance. Though no trains had run through the lower tunnels in decades, I pressed on down the cracked stairwells and past broken tracks swallowed by creeping vines. As I moved deeper, I passed doorways to side rooms, each one appearing more wrong than the last. One was a locker room, where the lockers were all slightly ajar, and I could hear the faint creak of doors swinging, as if someone had just passed through. Another was a ticket booth, where a flickering CRT monitor displayed security footage that shouldn't have been working. On the grainy screen, I saw myself walking through the tunnel, but in the footage, I was already a few steps ahead of where I was standing in real life. The tapping started again, louder now, closer. 4 beats, pause, 4 beats. I ran, but the tunnel seemed endless, the walls stretching unnaturally. I passed a train car sitting silently on the tracks. Its doors were wide open, but inside, the seats were filled not with people, but with dark, unmoving silhouettes. I froze. Their heads turned to me, in unison, but their faces, they had none, just blank, smooth skin where features should be. The sound of metal scraping against metal filled the air. The doors of the train slammed shut. I turned and bolted, my breath sharp and ragged. But the more I ran, the more the tunnels wrapped around me. I began seeing old posters plastered along the walls, but each one showed my face aging, warping, decaying. Messages scrawled beneath them in fading ink read, "You arrived, you stayed, you never left." My legs gave out in a small maintenance room where the walls were lined with rusted electrical panels. I locked the door behind me, panting, my flashlight flickering. In the silence, I heard a soft humming coming from a speaker mounted on the wall. It was the same 4-beat tapping, now layered with a voice. A woman's voice.
Neil, you always belonged here. Come back to us.
I shined my light on the floor and saw it. An old ID badge, rusted but still legible. It was mine. Neil Carter. Greenwood. Maintenance staff. Entry authorized. Lower tunnels. But I never worked here. I never lived here. Or did I? My head spun. My hands trembled as I backed into a corner. I suddenly remembered something, a faint memory, a half-forgotten detail. As a child, I visited Greenwood once with my parents. I had wandered off. I remember descending into a cold, dark tunnel. I remember hearing my name called by a soft voice. And then nothing. Was I always part of this place? Did I ever leave? I heard the scraping of fingernails on the door, the soft hum of voices beyond it. The door rattled in its frame, as if something on the other side wanted in, not to hurt me, but to bring me back. I bolted from the room, the echoes chasing me, and sprinted deeper into the labyrinth. The air grew thinner, my vision blurred, but I kept running until I reached a room with a massive circular pit in the center. The edge was lined with worn train schedules and collapsing safety railings. I looked down and saw nothing but endless darkness, and from the dark below I heard a sound, my own voice, calling me back. The shadows in the corners thickened, rising like smoke, forming the outline of that figure, my mirror self, now fully formed, waiting. It didn't rush this time. It simply watched.
Neil,
It whispered.
you never left.
The walls around me pulsed with the 4-beat rhythm. My heart synced with it, as if my body knew this place better than I did. The entity stepped forward, smiling, a cracked, broken version of me. I stumbled backward, teetering at the edge of the pit. It reached out a hand, and I took it. The last thing I saw was the station swallowing me whole. I woke up, back in my apartment, but it's not mine. The walls pulse, the reflection smiles on its own, and the tunnel's tapping never stops. I tried leaving again, but I always find myself back here. I called my brother once more. A woman answered. "I'm sorry," she said. "No one named Neil Carter lives here. He passed away years ago." I hung up. The whispers surround me now. The apartment breathes with me. I think I was always here. I think I always will be. And now, I think I hear you listening. Don't ignore the tapping. They know your name too.